What's up, everybody? Welcome to Pretty Bird Studios. This is the first time I've ever been in this building, but I've certainly worked in the area. My name is Misha Tenenbaum, and I'm a professional video editor and film editor, and I'm also the CEO of editstock.com and editmentor.com. We have a great presentation for you today, and I just want to point out we are live. So you can ask me a question right in the chat, and I'm happy to answer it. And that's really the fun part of this whole experience for all of us. Part of this area that we're in, Culver City, there are several studios around, one of which is called Culver Studios. And I actually worked on a movie there called Jobs, which was the Steve Jobs movie starring Ashton Kutcher, which was a lot of fun. So it's been a while since I've been to this neck of the woods, but it is, it's great to be here. On top of my sort of normal everyday editing work and being in charge of EditStock, I also judge a lot of film festival competitions, a lot of them by students. So the range of film festival competitions that I judge are Student Television Network, which is a high school and middle school film festival contest. Then I judge the UFVA, or University Video and Film Association film festivals. And I also am one of the judges for, or really a screener for, the Austin Film Festival, which is one of the largest film festivals in the entire country and world. And so I've watched, and I should also mention, as part of my job as the CEO of EditStock, I watch probably 100 short films a month, and I see just so many movies. And from that, I have come up with these creative rules of thumb that you should follow in order to make better movies. And so that brings me to our first slide, which is creative editing, the rules of thumb that you should remember. Okay. So in this presentation, by the way, we're going to be looking at professional movies and some movies that students have made. So we'll be able to compare what professionals do with what students do. And the gulf isn't always as big as you think, especially if you think just because you're in high school, the middle school kids can't catch up to you. They certainly can. Before we get too far, I wanted to share this picture with you. This is actually a middle school class that I was teaching in Hawaii. And we have one student who's doing the editing, and we have 4 or 5 students who are looking on. This is a really common situation. The one student in the center there who's actually editing, that person's created an identity for themselves. They're the person who is able to edit, who loves editing. And the other people around are probably a little unsure of their skills, and many of you probably feel that way. I just want to tell you that the person in the middle who's doing the editing also felt that way, and that it took a little bravery to get over that first hump of editing before you can really get into the fun part that is storytelling. And in fact, I just want to say that in high school, I was that kid, and I got so much out of being the editor that it became my identity. You know, it was the thing, one of the things I was the proudest to do. So if you catch yourself showing up to school early or staying late at school to work on these projects, your own video projects, that's where your passions lie, and it's really good. You should encourage that side of yourself because it's a great side of yourself. So what is it that makes a great movie? You know, you guys can come back to me for a minute, and then we're going to go to the computer. So what is it exactly that makes a great movie? You know, is there a formula? Is there something that we can take away, that you can take home with you and add into your own movies? Because that's what we really want. That's the goal of this presentation. So the first thing we're going to do is watch a professional movie, a really good one. And as soon as I get QuickTime open, we will be doing that. Here we go. Okay, you guys can go to the computer. This movie comes to us from New Zealand. The name of the movie is Careful with That Power Tool, and the director's name is Jason Stutter. Here we go. Oh, it's scary, by the way. All right. Who, I'll let the end credits play as we kind of talk. Who here had like a heart attack while they were watching that movie? It's pretty crazy, right? Actually, the reason that I wanted to show this first is I first found that movie on Friday the 13th, and it fit so well with the date. So here's my question to you: is what's this movie about? And that's actually the question that really we all need to answer about our own movies. What is this movie about? Well, a movie is about a thing called the log line. And so a log line is a 1 or 2 sentence description of the most important elements of your movie. And the most important elements are: who's the main character, what do they want, and what's the conflict? Why is it so hard for them to get the thing that they want? And it seems like, so let me give you an example of what a log line is. Careful with that power tool is about a young and clumsy boy who discovers the fun of power tools in his father's dangerous workshop. So this sentence here describes what the movie is about. And it's really hard, I think, for students to understand, sort of like a basic story structure. And that brings us to sort of rule number 1, which is a movie needs a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay, so now I'm going to walk us through the movie one more time, and we're going to look at what I mean by that. What exactly is a beginning, a middle, and an end in a movie? So let's bring up the movie once again. Okay, and I'm going to play it with no sound, and I'll kind of walk through it as we pause. Okay, we've got the title cards. All right, so remember our log line. This is a clumsy boy. He's not just a regular boy, he's a clumsy boy. So he falls off his bike, right? Why is it, they probably did this take 25 times. And someone out there, nothing in a movie is an accident. Why did he fall off his bike? If you want to try to write in the chat, it's a little hard for me to see from here, but you want to write into the chat, why did the boy fall off his bike? I'm going to come back to that later. Okay, what are some other indications that maybe he's in danger mode? What about his feet? You know, is this a good way to be running through a construction site with no shoes on? And let's see, how does the director showcase that this place is dangerous for us? What is this shot here? You know, we have to run by a nail sticking out of a piece of wood. And we have, of course, a shot of a nail gun. So this is a little bit of foreshadowing. So in the beginning of a movie, your goal is to do what's called set up the world. You want to try to teach your audience, like, what is this boy? Who is this boy? What's his life like? What's the situation that he's in? We don't know what he wants yet. So, okay, here he goes, of course, doing the most dangerous thing you can possibly do. Now, you know, this boy, if he was like an adult wearing a hard hat and shoes, this probably wouldn't make any of us feel anything. But the fact that he's a young boy doing this with no shoes on, running by nails, that's a problem. Okay, and the director gives us this very intentional, deliberate shot of the nail gun. So from now on, this is sort of the end of the beginning of the movie, and we're into the middle of the movie. This is now the boy's quest. So the thing that he wants is to play with this nail gun. That's the thing he wants, and that's the thing he's going to do for the rest of the movie. And the ride that the audience is on with us right now is he going to get hurt or not? That's the thing that we need to try to figure out. So let's see. Here's the first obstacle. It's like, you know, he's shooting some nails, but they're kind of away from himself. And over time, the obstacles, they get bigger and bigger. So first it was a little obstacle. This is a bigger obstacle. And oh boy, that's some foreshadowing of his feet. Oh man, oh my God. You know, he's trying to shoot it right now and he can't. And he shoots it and he just misses. Okay, and this is the beginning of the end. So the end of the movie is we find out what happens on his quest. So he doesn't get hurt from the nail gun, he gets hurt by something else. Okay. So every movie needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And in the beginning of the movie, again, what we want to show is who is the main character, what world do they live in, and something that this movie didn't do very well is how do they feel about their lives? You know, do they want to change their life? Do they want to? You can put that up. Yeah. Do they want to change their life? Are they happy with their life? Because how they feel about their lives is the story. So they have a really great editor actually just recently taught me this. You know, we all live our lives in this pattern. It's like everything is the same every single day until all of a sudden it's not. And it's how we feel about the change. We either have an opportunity to make our life better or life just forces us to change and do something else. In the middle of the movie, we have to try to succeed at our goal. And we have to face obstacles. It can't be very easy because if it's very easy, then it's not much of a story. And then in the end, the audience needs to know, did we complete the goal or not? And how did we change as a result of that? So like I said before, this is something that students struggle with a lot. And I want to show you an example of that with another student film. This film comes to us from students at Fayetteville High School. This is a movie called Stalker. And I'm just going to play it now. And you are going to hear this. Hopefully.
Don't worry, Will. It will all be over soon.
Hey, man, quit that.
Please, call me dude, all right? Man's my brother. Holy cow, what's that?
Oh.
I'm just screwing around.
Haha, very funny.
No, seriously.
All right, that's the end of the movie Stalker, and we're going to go through it bit by bit here. I want to tell you guys all that one of the reasons that I love, you can now put me up in the lower right corner there. I've been reading some of your comments in the chat. Please keep doing that because I really loved the comments about the transitions. We're about to talk about those. One of the reasons that I really love organizations like GRID and like Student Television Network and like AME, Arts Media Entertainment, is because it gives you guys an opportunity, a reason to make a movie. You have a goal at the end. You know, you want to present it at a competition. You want to go to a festival. And, you know, like I said, I love watching high school movies because I get to see really fun movies like this, which show a lot of potential, a lot of creativity. But underneath it, they are missing some things that can be easily added. And I just want to say that when I judge the movies at the Austin Film Festival, a lot of them look beautiful. Some of them, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to make. And they also miss this very basic idea of a beginning, a middle, and end, or really what the story is about. So I just want to go through here and say, this movie does have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so I'm just going to play it. We're learning about the world. So we have a main character. We know that that's the main character. And here's the world that he's in. He's not familiar with it. It's kind of colored in a way that makes us feel like maybe it's alien, or it's something creepy is definitely going on. And we have this stalker who shows up. By the way, this should have been a scare. There should have been a sound effect here, and there wasn't. I mean, in my view, if you're making a scary movie, then you should have a scare. Okay, so this interaction here, this is our hint that there's going to be some sort of story that starts. This is what starts us on our quest. The problem that the student had is, it is totally not clear to us what the quest is. What is the thing that the main character wants? You know, we have no idea. And we don't know why the obstacles he's running into are scary. Okay, so that transition right there goes from the beginning of the movie to the middle of the movie. We're now in the middle of the movie. So from here on, the main character is trying to succeed at some goal. And the problem that we have, and I keep coming back to this, is I, as the audience, don't know what his goal is. And I think that what happened was, this filmmaker had some really cool ways to make, I mean, this is green screen here. So this is really cool. And the director, we've got these eyes that are moving. We've got these windows that are crooked. Cool color effects on the footage. We have some cool transitions. But like, again, where is he going? And how do we know if we're getting closer to it or farther away from it? You know, that's the real problem that I had with this movie. And I don't think that the director himself knew where the main character was going. And that becomes very clear in the end. I'm actually going to fast forward a little bit. So here's some more obstacles he's facing, obstacles. Okay, and we get back to the house. Okay, this transition here, now we're in a house, so this, I would consider this the beginning of the end. We're about to get the resolution. Maybe we're not quite at the resolution, but we're very close to the resolution. And the resolution is this mirror. Okay, here we go, the mirror. Okay, now this shot, for a second, I was like, I get it. Now I get it. He's been the stalker this whole time. It was actually him. It's like all in his head. It's still not totally clear to me, but like I'm getting close. I've almost got it figured out. And then the director pulls this switcheroo on us where no, it's actually, he's in the back. It was always what you thought it was from the beginning. So I leave this movie completely confused as a viewer about what was the story. You know, is he the stalker? Is he not the stalker? Did he die? Did he survive? Did he kill himself? You know, we have no idea. And that's the problem. But the movie did have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay, the next movie that we're going to watch is by middle school students. A student named Sebastian Benji made this from the Meadowbrook School of Westbrook. And I absolutely love this movie. I'm very excited to show it to you because this is proof positive that just because you're in high school doesn't mean you have any kind of special leg up on a middle school kid. Okay, here we go. We do need sound.
Why can't I look at my shoes?
Guys, let's work together. Maybe we can do something. Is there Wi-Fi signal up here? What the heck are you doing?
I'm binge reading.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, hi, Headmaster. You have a snow day today.
Yes!
Dude, you're such a hypochondriac. What does that even mean? I don't know. Google it. Whoa. Wait, it's not working.
Oh, it's one of these things.
I think I saw him using my grandma's house. Oh, same.
Years I've been checking to see if the Wi-Fi is back on.
All right, guys. So the Meadowbrook School of Weston. And I'm just going to go through this movie real quick with you. And so my first question is, and you can answer in the chat, did this movie have a beginning, a middle, and an end? Were there clearly defined sections? Was there a quest that the students had to go on? Were there obstacles that the students had to overcome? In the end of the movie, was there a change? Exactly. So I'm reading everybody answering, yes, yes, yes. And now I feel like all I needed to do was kind of like point this out to you. And now hopefully you're thinking about this when you're making your own movies. Let's just look through this movie really quick. So we have, this is normal life. Okay. This is what everyday life is like for these kids. They dance, they listen to their headphones, they read their phones, they play video games, and something happens, an event happens. And that is officially the end of the beginning of the movie. We're now into the middle of the movie. It's the students now have a challenge. Their pattern has been broken. They have to survive in this new world. And here are some of the things that they have to do to survive. So first, they're looking for the Wi-Fi. That's like obstacle number one. And then they're reading books. That's obstacle number two. What is Google? So now we're looking things up in a dictionary, which is funny because that's actually how I used to write papers. And then all the internet in the world gets reconnected again. But what I really love, see this character here? This is actually, the students have grown up and they've changed. And one thing I really wish, obviously these students didn't have my rules of thumb in mind when they were making this project. But one thing that I really wish that they had done is have the character at the end not need the internet, because now we're sort of, we're showing that the character changed a lot. Right now, the way the character is shown to change is that he's now older, but it'd be really cool if he also learned I don't want to say learn the lesson, because we definitely don't want to be teaching our audience something. We don't want to be giving them a lesson, but in any case, we want to show that he changed. Okay, moving on to the next rule. Rule number 2. I know that was a long rule. They get quicker as we go. Rule number 2 is that great stories have irony. So what is irony? Irony is when the opposite of what you expect to happen happens. And one way that I like to think about it is it should be sort of the least likely person to succeed. So for example, how many of you out there have seen The Godfather? And it's about an organized crime family, and they have several kids. The Godfather has several kids, and someone is going to take over the family empire. But the one who actually takes it over is the one who is the least likely, the one who says, I don't want to do it, right? In The Lord of the Rings, who's the person who has to save the world? It's a hobbit. It's the person who's the least likely to succeed. In our movie about the power tool, you know, who was it? It keeps wanting to open in Cineplay. So who is it that is going to play with this power tool? It has to be the person who is the least likely to succeed, the one who is the most likely to get hurt. You know, when we watch Trend Micro and it's the kids who are trying to get the internet, let me ask you, would this movie be very exciting if my parents were the main character? You know, probably not. And the reason that it wouldn't be exciting is because for my parents, not having the internet is just like Wednesday night. It's, you know, they don't really care that much about it. So look for irony when you're making your characters. Okay, rule number 3. We want to show, don't tell our story. And I have a really great example of that. Well, so like one way that we were showing our story in the Power Tools movie was we were showing the kid with bare feet. We were showing him falling off his bike, running in front of a nail. And that's really a great way to show your story and don't tell it. I highly recommend for all of you guys to make a movie with no dialogue at all. You should make a silent movie. And I strongly recommend that for your teachers. In fact, I was talking to Lori earlier today from Grid, and she had mentioned to me that you guys were going to fill out a student activity survey or perform a student activity. And my recommendation for you guys is to make a silent movie. Make a 1-minute movie that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, that has obstacles for your characters to overcome, that has irony in it. And you want that should be, that's the sort of like basis of your whole project. Okay, so those moments that I was mentioning, the beginning, the middle, the end, where you have a moment where the character goes off on their quest, these things are called story beats. And that's why I think that it's so important you make a silent movie, because when you make a silent movie, you have to beat it out. You have to create the little beats of action that add up to your story or add up to your log line. There's a great book about this I recommend to all of you guys by a director named David Mamet. He started out as a theater director, became a very famous theater director. He has directed some movies, and I really, you know, he does not believe in, for example, method acting or telling this whole long lineage of characters beforehand. He really believes in beats, story beats, and just character goes from here to here to here to here. They go through these activities. Okay, moving on. Rule number 4, no voiceover ever. And I don't know why this is, but students are always putting in voiceovers into their movies. When you put in a voiceover, what you're doing is you're trying to tell your story and not show your story, which was rule number 3. So I'm going to show you an example of that from a student film that did really well. So this film is called Last Hope. It's also from Fayetteville High School. The 2 students who directed it are Ian Lynn and Jordan Giacalone. This film won an award for Best Script Writing. And let's first watch the movie, and then we're going to do a little bit of editing on it together. Here we go.
Recently, a nuclear power plant exploded in North Korea, creating a domino effect. Recently, a nuclear power plant exploded in North Korea, creating a domino effect, causing all other nuclear power plants in Asia to explode. Getting this breaking news. This just in, earthquakes caused by the explosions in Asia and the Middle East have set off another domino effect, shaking power plants all across North America, including Russellville. just 117 miles south of Fayetteville. Any minute now, the power plant could also explode.
That's when it started. Everything was normal at first. It didn't start until a couple of days passed. People panic. Stores emptied. And then they came. We don't know what they are, just that they came after the explosions. They kill. So we run. Last we heard, Springfield had the longest standing refuge. So that's where we're headed.
Stop! Come on!
It's dead.
Stay down.
Okay. I think we're good.
You safe?
I think so. We need to see if Springfield is still safe.
I got it.
Yeah, bro, give me the radio. Give me the radio.
No, I got it. No, stop.
Hey,
I
guys,
got
stop
it.
arguing.
Let me do
Guys,
it.
stop
Let me do it.
arguing. Guys,
Stop.
stop.
I'm gonna do it.
Give me the radio!
Do it.
Give me the radio!
Damn it!
We can fix it.
How are we gonna be able to fix it now, bro? The antenna is
just
broken.
hand it
There's
to
no
me.
Calm
possible way
down.
of it
No.
Give
fixing.
it to me.
Look, now we have no clue.
I can-
No, you need to calm down. You can fix it.
We're not gonna be able to
Hand
know
it to me.
down.
I can fix
Like,
it,
at this
dude.
point,
Chill.
we're
Calm
done.
down.
We are done.
I can.
We're not gonna make it, bro.
No,
We're not gonna make it.
What do we do now?
I don't know.
Guys, I got it. I got it. Guys.
No, get in.
Get in, man.
What happened? I got foil. Give me the radio.
No.
Give me the radio.
No.
Hey, I need it. Hey, I need it. Give him the radio. Is it working? Let me tune it.
Springfield has fallen. I repeat, Springfield has fallen. Springfield has fallen. I repeat, Springfield has fallen. Springfield has fallen.
Okay, now we're actually at the end of the movie. Okay. So I like this movie a lot, but it had some obvious problems with it in the beginning, which is mostly that the student was using voiceover, and another common problem, which is dips to black in between their movies. So let's take a look at that. And I'm actually going to see, let's open up Premiere and let's just take a look at the movie. You know, this presentation is about editing, so we should do a little editing. Dips to black sometimes make the audience feel like the movie is over, which happened to me in the middle of this video. Even though I've seen it like 10 times, I actually thought the movie ended for a second. I highly, highly recommend do not put in dips to black. That's just a very common mistake that I see students make all the time. Not just students, actually. All filmmakers really make that mistake. Okay, let's open up Grid Project. Okay. And built-in output. Okay. All right, can you guys hear this and see this, hopefully? I'm gonna just try to take out, let's see if you can.
Recently, a nuclear
Can you hear this or no?
exploded in
Copy. Okay, let's see. Audio hardware. USB audio device. Okay, now you can hopefully hear.
North Korea, creating a domino effect.
You can hear this? Just say yes in the chat if you can hear this. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
This breaking news. This just in. Earthquakes caused by the explosions in Asia and the Middle East set off another domino effect, shaking power plants all across North America, including Westville, just 170 miles south. Yeah, no, probably could also.
Okay, so we have this first dip to black. And I'm just going to take it out. Mark in.
That's when it started. Everything was normal at first. It didn't start until a couple of days passed.
That's when it started. It didn't start at first, but then a couple of days passed. Does anyone remember? You've seen the whole movie. What are they talking about? Do we have any idea? It never comes back again. We don't know who they are. We just don't need any of this stuff. Let's just cut right to the kids running. Marking out.
And plant could also.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but actually I got the exact same information as an audience member. These guys are definitely running from something. There's some sort of apocalypse. You know, there's some sort of problem in the world. Audiences are smart. You don't need to tell them. You know, you don't need to say it. You need to show it.
People panic. Stores emptied.
Okay, people panic. Stores empty. So let's just take this out.
People panic. Stores emptied.
Okay. So we got to do a little audio softening there, maybe a little dissolve, but you know, do we get people panic anyway? Yeah. Do we need to say that? No. Do we need to know that stores are empty? No. Why does it matter to our story that stores are empty? And so this goes on and on. I'm actually not going to continue doing this because we have a lot more to go, but just know that, let's get rid of one more.
And then they came. We don't know what they are, just that they came after the explosions.
Okay, we don't know what they are. They came after the explosions. So again, I'm just going to take that out. You know, do we need it at all? I mean, why do we have it? It's like, what explosions, what people, you know, you don't need to say that stuff. I know that it feels like you do, but just as a general rule, if you feel like you need to say it, it really means you need to show it. Okay, let's move on because or else we will not make it in time. So no voiceover ever is my rule. If I see voiceover, I consider it like -1 point. Never do these things either. Don't put text on the screen. That's just another way of doing a voiceover. Don't do phone calls. Phone calls is a common one where a student will, it's like character A calls character B and they're saying like, hey, if we don't get to the boat by the time that, you know, the bomb goes off, like we're all in trouble. It's just show that stuff. No phone calls. Just show the things that the characters are saying in the phone call. And no characters talking to themselves. This is a common one too. Like an actor will walk up to a window and say, I can see them from here. And it's like, just show out the window. Just show what they're doing. So these things are what are called exposition. And as a general rule, you always want to show the exposition, not say the exposition. Audiences are smart. They'll figure it out. Okay, on to our next rule. The next rule is always raise the stakes, which means the challenges that your characters face, they should always be getting harder. And I'm going to show you a really good example of that. So let's start first with that, you know, like we talked about earlier, there has to be what's called an inciting incident. That's something that kicks off your quest. In the case of Trend Micro, it was when the internet got unplugged. And from then on, the problems that the characters run into should get harder and harder and harder for them to solve until ultimately the world changes, but in a slightly different place than where we started. So we're going to watch the movie Gravity or the trailer for the movie Gravity first. Gravity, if you guys haven't seen it, is a thriller with Sandra Bullock. I think it won Best Picture, actually, now that I think about it. It won an Oscar for Best Picture, or it was at very least nominated. I'm going to play you a minute of the trailer, because if I play you much more than that, everyone in this chat is going to have a heart attack, and because it's so intense. Okay, here we go. It's probably loud.
Explorer's been hit. Explorer, do you read? Explorer, over. Explorer. Astronaut is off structure. Dr. Stone is off structure. Dr. Stone is detached. You must detach. You don't detach, that arm's going to carry you too far. Listen to my voice. You need to focus. I'm losing visual of you. In 3 seconds, I won't be able to track you. You need to detach. I can't see you anymore. Do it now. Houston, I've lost visual of Dr. Stone. Houston, I've lost visual of Dr. Stone.
Yes, I copy. I'm detached. I don't know. I'm spinning. I can't. GPS is down. It's down. I can't.
Give me a visual.
I told you nothing. I see nothing.
To describe to you, this is spoiler alert out there. I'm going to describe to you a little bit about the obstacles that Sandra Bullock faces, okay? So there's a beginning and a middle and an end to this movie. In the beginning, she's outside doing a spacewalk. Everything is normal, and then her spaceship gets hit by this debris storm. That's what you just saw. Here are the obstacles she encounters. She floats through outer space, flipping around in circles with no air. Then she has to go into a new spaceship. The new spaceship gets set on fire. She escapes that spaceship, goes to another spaceship. This one has no power, and she almost freezes. She then gets into a shuttle and escapes through the shuttle, but the shuttle is set to self-destruct, I kid you not, by flying into the Earth's atmosphere. Somehow I think she actually escapes that shuttle and goes into another shuttle. I could be wrong about that. But in any case, she makes it through Earth's atmosphere, which is also insanely hard. She crashes into the ocean, and like here, you think the movie's over. She made it, she's back to Earth. She sinks in the ocean, to the bottom of the ocean, and has to escape there too, escape from drowning too. So as you can see, the obstacles continue to rise and rise and rise. And I want to show you a really good example of obstacles rising from another middle school movie. This one's called Puddle Jumper, and Puddle Jumper was made by a student named Mia Kim. So let's see how Mia did in her rising action.
Puddle Jumper, ready to jump.
Puddle Jumper. Your mission, collect 3 gold coins from around the city and bring them to your home base. Beware of Vectress and her henchman, Green Poncho. Good luck.
Game on.
Puddle Jumper is on the move. Get those coins before he does.
My first jump, post out. There it is, the first gold coin. Yeah. Got it. First jump complete.
Green Poncho here. Puddle Jumper beat me to it.
Idiot. Don't let it happen again.
Next jump, the fish market. I'm at the fish market. I've got the coin in sight.
Vector, I got the second coin. Puddle Jumper up and jump fast enough. Vectress, we have a problem.
Imbecile.
The third coin is at the pier. One last jump.
I'll have to take matters into my own hands.
You're not getting that final coin, Puddle Jumper.
We meet again, Puddle Jumper. And as you can see, you're no match for Vectress.
Oh, really? I got all 3 coins. Puddle Jumper wins again.
Dude, how'd you beat us again? I can't believe it.
Hey, Puddle Jumper, how about a rematch?
Game on.
Let's go back through this really quickly. We actually have a lot more to do, so I'm going to try to kind of hurry it up a little bit. You know, did this movie have a beginning, a middle, and an end? You can answer in the chat. And I think the answer is pretty clear that it did. I can see some people saying yes. So Puddle Jumper here is on a mission. And how hard was it for him to get the first gold coin? Let's see. He just finds it, right? There it is. Got it. Easy. Okay, how hard was it for him to get the second gold coin? You know, the bad guy gets to it first, but Puddle Jumper sneaks up behind him, right? So it's a little harder. And then, of course, the third challenge, now there's actually like a big fight. We've got the boss. So this movie is a really good example of rising action. That's one of the things that I look for in a good movie. Okay. Moving on to rule number 6. So we've talked about like that a movie has to have, you know, a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's got to have a rising action. The character has to change. But how do you actually know if the character changed? There's a really easy way that I learned from an absolutely terrific film editor named Norman Holland, who said that in order to evaluate a scene, what you should do is come up with some adjectives at the beginning of the scene and at the end of the scene. And so what I mean by that is we're gonna watch a movie now from we're gonna watch a scene from the movie Pumpkin Princess. And Pumpkin Princess is about a nerdy outcast who is trying to look cool in front of the cool kids. Okay, so she gets embarrassed when they pour some red paint on her head, and now she's gonna figure out a plan about what to do next. Okay, so here comes her plan.
I saw your paint video on Facebook and came right. Oh. She something to do with your hair?
No, I went swimming in a Nickelodeon logo.
How'd that work out for you?
I don't want to talk about it. You know, I just really like to believe that after this horrible senior year is over, I can move far away and never have to deal with this again.
Is this about Max? Again? Mr. Oh, look at me. I am larger than life and twice as handsome.
You know, the worst part is there's this party tonight. And he's probably going to meet this super hot Nina Dobrev clone while I stay here getting the pumpkinness out of me. He probably thinks I'm the most ridiculous person on earth.
Oh, come on. The guy can't even spell orange. I bet he didn't even notice. Although I do think Alex may have outdone herself this time. Okay, don't freak out. At the end of the day, she was briefing everyone on how they're supposed to say, "Here comes the ugly pumpkin," anytime you walk by.
What?
On the bright side, your Cinder Pumpkin video is trending on Twitter. Hashtag yay!
That's it, Tom. I can't take it anymore. I am sick and tired of Alex and of everyone treating me like I'm just a school joke. And of Max not realizing that I'm good enough for him.
What are you doing?
I'm taking my chance, Tommy. Even if I die trying.
As much as I love your spirit, Princess, he's seriously not worth it.
Of course he is.
All right, and even if he was, what about Alex and her little friends? Aren't they making your fairy tale romance hard enough as it is?
I have a few ideas. I just need to get proof that Max fell for me, and that'll get him to shut up.
What do you have in mind?
I have my eye on a certain blue shirt.
Makeover.
All right, so that was Cinder Pumpkin, and let's just talk about how the character felt. Okay, so in the beginning of the scene, she is depressed and she's frustrated and she's defeated, right? And in the end of the scene, she's motivated, ambitious, and inspired. And that change, even though it doesn't feel like very much, that's actually how you know that the scene should stay in your movie. And that's because movies really are about the emotional change of your character. Now, that doesn't mean that every single time they have to go from bad to good. They can go from good to bad. They can go from bad to worse. It's just what they can't do is go from bad to bad or okay to okay or good to good. You know, something has to change. Every scene has to have an emotional change. Okay, rule number 7. The first version of your movie is the second version of your movie. And we're going to skip over that. And I'm just going to tell you about cliches. So a cliche is when you say something that's like, you've seen it 100 times. And so here's some common ones that I see in kid movies all the time, but even professional movies do this. So waking up in the morning, never do that. You know, turning off an alarm clock, never do that. Brushing your teeth, never do that. Hit by a car. Why do so many high school kids make movies about where the main character gets hit by a car? I don't know, but I've seen like 10,000 of them. You know, it was all just a dream. And then you wake up in the end and nothing that you saw actually happened. So like never do these things because they're very common. Oh yeah, a literal ticking clock, never show like a clock on a wall. I know I'm going pretty quickly here. So cliches, they're irritating, they're predictable, and they're boring. And I would like for you guys to Google a movie called, or a video called Let's Enhance It. So you guys can write that in. Okay, I'm actually gonna skip to rule number 9 here, which is about isolating your senses. We want to, so when you're working on your movie, one way that you know whether or not a scene is working is you can just play it on mute. And I'm going to give you an example of that really quickly as I can. I know I'm over on time. I'm going to try to wrap this all up as quickly as I can. Let's get to, okay, we're going to play this one, guys, without the sound at first.
Pop culture.
So just no sound? Oh, we can hear it, but okay, got it. Okay, so no sound. Okay, and I'm gonna stop it. And I'm just gonna play it back. This time I'm gonna play it with sound, but the reason I say isolate your senses is because with no sound on, I wouldn't know what event they were going to. I wouldn't know what location we're in. I don't really know what the story is about here. And with the sound on, now let's, in fact, I don't know if it's possible. Can you do the sound with no video?
We live in a time where pop culture.
You know what? Actually, I can do it by I'll make the video really small. Okay, here we go. Ready? Let's just play this.
We live in a time where pop culture and celebrity gossip control our generation, where the tabloids dictate what we believe, and where information, stories, and headlines can be easily distorted.
So did we learn anything about celebrities there? Like, why are we talking about celebrities and we're seeing buildings? You know what I mean? There's a disconnect there. And sometimes it's hard for us to know that when we're in the middle of working on this project. But the way to know if there's a disconnect is to turn the video off and just listen to the sound, or to turn the sound off and just watch the video. That's a really good way of pointing that out. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with one last rule, which is basically that all rules were meant to be broken. And film hasn't been around that long compared to other art. It's only been around for about 100 years, whereas painting has been around 2,000 years. So as I'm telling you these things about you can't use voiceover, you can't put text on the screen, you can't use a phone call, of course you can. Of course you can. But not every movie has to have irony. Not every movie has to have a perfect 3-act structure. But you should know that stuff when you're making your own rule. The last thing I'm going to do with just 1 minute, I do encourage you all to visit my website, which is editstock.com. We sell unedited movies for students and professionals to re-edit. A lot of these movies made it into film festivals around the world, and you would have the opportunity to try them. And your school can try them too. You can try them at home. The last thing I wanted to show you is a tool that I built. It took more than a year. This is a browser-based editing software that trains you by having you do something in the timeline, like add a marker, for example, submit your answer, and you can actually get an answer right or wrong. So for example, in this lesson, we had to identify where the end of the beginning was. And this is something that works in everybody's browser. Okay, come back to me. I know I'm 5 minutes over. I just want to take this last minute to say you guys can email me questions, misha@editstock.com. I know there's a survey for you to fill out. And I just got to say that it's a tough time for everybody right now, obviously, but I really enjoyed spending this hour with you. You made my day and my week a lot more fun, and hopefully I was able to make your day a little more fun too. Have a good one, everyone.